Good morning.
Good morning.
I have to start by saying how excited I am to see you all. I really miss you guys. So today we're going to talk about how to format your 1L brief. And we're going to go over things a lot of times. So if you don't pick it up the first time we show it, don't worry. We're going to do it over and over and over again until everybody gets it. I want to start by talking about how you can find more resources to do this stuff, which is over here. I'm going to back up and do this again so that you can find it. From the main website, you go to library, and then you scroll down to research guides. The very first research guide is called 1L Brief Assistance. And that is what this is. Over here on the left are a bunch of step-by-step screen captures of how to do this stuff. This is last year's recording. We're going to replace it with this one. So everything you need is here. I'm going to start with so most people use Word as an electronic typewriter. And it actually has all of these cool automated features built into it that a lot of people have never had the time or even knew were there to learn. And a really cool tool that we have for you now is on the library website, research databases, letter P, Pro Certas. This is a learning tool for Word, Excel, PDF. A lot of reasons junior associates are in the office till midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning is they're doing all this stuff manually. And if you learn how to do some of the automated features that are in Word, it can make you a lot more efficient. And the guy who invented Pro Certas was standing at the copy machine in his law firm, scanning a document to PDF. And somebody walked by and said, you know, there's a feature in Word where you can just save it to PDF without ever leaving your desk. And that was this epiphany moment for him. And he said, what else am I missing? And he learned all the power of Word, some of which we're going to show you today. So spring break, summer, when you have some time, log into Pro Certas. It'll test you on where your skills are and then teach you how to do a bunch of this stuff. Okay. Word was designed by an engineer, not a writer. And sometimes it's really challenging to convince it to do the things you want it to do. And you have to watch really carefully because a lot of times it does what it thinks you want it to do, not what you actually told it to do. So you're typing along and it will say, oh, it looks like you want a numbered list here. Let me give you a numbered list. And if you don't want a numbered list, and if you didn't notice that it did that and turn it off, it can really screw up your formatting later on. So pay attention because it's tricky. The most important thing is this weird little paragraph symbol up here. It's called show hide paragraph. And usually you leave it turned off because it's hard to look at when you're typing. But if you turn it on, it will show you the formatting in your document. It shows paragraph symbols at the end of the line. It shows a dot in between the words. So if you're a 2 spaces after a period person or a 1 space after a period person, it's easier to see with paragraph turned on. And what you can see from this document is there is no automated formatting in this document. This heading is bolded and centered, but I just highlighted it and bolded it and centered it. I didn't do anything automated. This table of contents is actually a table. To do a manual table of contents to get everything to line up neatly, these weird little symbols here are showing you that it's a table. There's also a way to do an automated table of contents, which is what I'm going to show you now. But first, I want to show you my two favorite commands, which are a lot of fun because a lot of my younger, really technology literate people didn't know this command. So I'm really excited to show it to you. So I'm copying some text here. Actually remember to copy it. And I'm going to go back to my document. And when I right click, I get these three little pictures here. And as I hover over them, it's going to show me what it does. Your choices are keep source formatting, merge formatting, or keep text only. Earlier in my career, my whole job was cutting and pasting stuff and writing competitive intelligence reports. And it took me, I had to create a 5-step macro to do this because it wasn't built in yet. But luckily for you, it's really easy. So if I just say Control V, it brings in all this stuff. It gives me a different font. It gives me a link that I may or may not want. It's giving me Calibri instead of Times New Roman. So when you paste something into your document from somewhere else, if it brings all the formatting with it, it screws up the headings that I'm about to show you in a minute. So this little thing here, if you click on it and say, keep text only, 99% of the time, that's what you want, is keep text only. And now it has imported into my document. It's not messing up any of my other formatting. It's just inserted the words that I wanted to have. So that's case special. My other favorite command is called Format Painter. And this is important to have your paragraphs turned on because the formatting in Word lives inside the paragraph symbol. And if you're cutting and pasting within your document and weird things are happening, it's probably because you did or did not copy the paragraph symbol along with the text. So that's another reason why you want to turn it on. So this text is bold and bigger. No, it's the same size, but it's bold and it's centered. So I'm going to click on this command over here called Format Painter, which is literally a paintbrush. And when I turn that on, it's going to say the next text I highlight is going to magically format to match what I just did. So I'm going to click over here in the gutter next to popular. And now it is centered and bolded. And if you double click on Format Painter, it'll do it until you tell it to stop. Again, it depends whether you get the paragraph symbol or not. So that's Format Painter. I find that really useful. I'm going to turn it off now. So what we need now, any questions about those commands? Okay, what we need now is to invoke the power of automation, and that happens up here in this menu called Styles. Styles are where the headings live, and headings are what you need to do an automated table of contents. You have to tell Word, there's something special about this text, and when I create a table of contents, I want you to include it. So I'm going to make, and I don't have to highlight anything, I just put my cursor where I want it, and when I click heading, it just made it heading 1, which is completely different formatting. It's blue and a different font. And I think, oh, that's interesting. So now I'm going to do jurisdiction. Oops, heading 1. That's 1. I'm going to make that heading 2 just to be interesting. Notice this magic thing has popped over here on the left. That actually lives in the View tab. It's called Navigation Pane. On old versions of Word, it's called Document Map. But what it does is it gives you the outline of your document. So as you're adding these headings, they become hot and you can navigate around your document by clicking on them. Let me just do a couple more. Get back to home, to my headings, so that I have enough to work with. Okay, so I've got a bunch of headings. I'm gonna go back up to the top and insert my table of contents, which is under the References tab, Table of Contents. Clicking on it, and there's a table of contents that just built in here. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to take this one that they're suggesting. And when I press the button, it magically created my table of contents. And it knows what page everything is on. They're hot linked, so I can go to that page. If I do Control-7, it takes me to that part of the document. So that is my automated table of contents. And the other thing that's cool about it, if I go to page 2, I'm going to add a bunch more text because I'm still editing my document. Fine. Okay, so I have changed all the page numbers of my table of contents by adding more text. And the way I fix that is to click on the table of contents. You get this Update Table button. And you can either update the page numbers or you can update the entire table if you messed with the headings. It really doesn't matter. I always do update entire table. And click on it and notice now the last part is on page 11, where it was on a different page. So that is how to automate your table of contents. It's really easy to delete the whole table of contents. Get all of it, there we go. And notice this little notice these little square things on the side here. That is what's telling you that this text is a heading. This paragraph doesn't have one, this jurisdiction, there's this weird little square thing. That's what's showing you on the screen that it's a heading. And so if I want to recreate my table of contents, I can do it at the touch of a button. So I usually recreate my table of contents 3 or 4 times until I get it exactly how I want it. So that's table of contents. Questions about that? Yes.
Which heading should we use?
We're going to do that. Professor Mangan,
Yes.
can you tell us what formatting you want for headings in your brief?
Yes. For statement of facts, summary of argument, that level heading, it will be all caps underlined. For major point headings, it will be bolded. And for the minor point headings, it will be underlined. Probably your heading one is all caps underlined.
We're going to ask you that again in a minute because Professor Tubinis is going to do how to fix your headings
Okay.
to make them match.
Okay, so it doesn't matter which one you choose, you can change it later.
Yes. And here's another cute command. Shift F3 will cycle through capitalization. Shift F3 is another command you can use all the time. Okay, so now we will switch over. And Professor Tubinis is going to do page numbers. And other things.
Morning. Okay, so I take a slightly different take. Okay, can we? No, wrong place. All right. Do me a favor. You've been following along diligently. Really appreciate it. Now we're all going to work on this together. So open up a browser, head over to libguides.law.uga.edu/1L-brief. Give me a second. Or if you want to go to the law school's webpage, navigate to the library page, go down to research guides, first link, because there is this handy dandy brief formatting model document. Open that with. All right, quick survey. How many people have Word 2016 installed? Word 2019? How many people don't even know? Brad. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, we're not going to worry about that for now. So, but I'm seeing Max, a couple PCs, so I'm going to try to hit all of the high notes for everybody, but if I'm going too fast or something looks a little funky, throw up your hand, we'll stop. Want to make sure we get this right. On the off chance that this is going to come in one ear and out the other, we are recording, so we'll have a recording up on that research guide later. Also, we will be available to help you with any formatting troubles that might occur. We will be set up at the front of the library where the desks are, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday from 1 to 5. So just drop in. Something's broken, we can totally help fix it. But anyway, let's go over a little bit more right now. Professor Simmons talked about how to make an automagic table of contents. I think we'll hit that again because it's a high note worth hitting. But I want to talk about page numbers because there's something really interesting if you read through the instructions on your brief, that the page numbers for the introductory part where the title page is, the table of contents, the table of authorities, uses small Roman numerals, correct? I believe? Okay, I'm seeing some nods, I'm seeing some thumbs up, awesome. But for the rest of the document, the actual body where all of your text goes, normal Arabic numerals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what we're used to. So one way of doing that is to go into the footer of every document and just like manually add I, V, so on and so forth. Oh, and then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or we can use the table of the page number tool built into Word. How does that work? Before we even get there, we need to talk about sections. We need to slice this document effectively into different parts, and each part will have a different type of scheme associated with it. So part 1 will be tiny Roman numerals, part 2 will be normal Arabic numerals. How does that happen? We've added like page breaks before, like, no, I need to get it onto a fresh page, add page break, good to go. Something very similar. Let's see, statutes involved. Let's say I want to add my table of contents, my title page. I'm going to like title placeholder. You can see I have the paragraph symbol on. I'm seeing all the formatting. All right, I want my title to show up in section 1, statutes to show up in section 2. So I'm going to put my cursor right before the S in statutes. Going to go over to layout, one of these ribbons up here. There is this drop down for breaks, and I can see there's page break, column break, text break. Those are cool, not for us. What I want is this section break next page. Effectively, it's going to look like I just added a page break, but you'll see that there's a very significant but minor difference. Yeah, let's go with that. Break. All right. Since I have the formatting turned on, I can see that there has been this new section break next page added. If I go back home, turn off the formatting, disappears. I like seeing it there because it's not where I would expect it to be. Normally I would expect the page break to be right before the thing I just added. No, it's up here immediately after title placeholder. All right. Interesting, but really no different from a normal page break, right? So go up into either the header or the footer of the page and do a double click. That adds this whole new design header and footer ribbon to the document. I got a lot of fun stuff, including page number, which is cool. I'm going to draw your attention to this little icon right here, link to previous. Right now it's grayed out, can't do anything with it. That's great, because I am in section 1. There is no section 0, there is no linking to the previous section. If I were to put my cursor over into header section 2 down here, watch this thing, lights up like a Christmas tree. What this means is that there is continuity between the sections. Section 1 flows into section 2, and it's inheriting certain properties from section 1 into section 2. I want to turn that off. So in header section 2, link to previous, click it, turns off. I'm going to go do the exact same thing down in the footer. Why you have to do it twice? Wish you could do it once, but you got it. So unlinking it. This is great because now I'm going to go back down to the footer, put my mouse there, click on page number, let's say definitely in the bottom of page, smack in the middle. Number 1 automatically. Number 2, number 3 looks great. What about section 1 where my table or my title and table of contents are going to go? Absolutely nothing. Awesome. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing. Footer section 1, page number, bottom of page, smack in the middle, also 1, but in Arabic, not great. So there's a couple ways to handle this. First, I can go over to page number, drop down, format page numbers. I can change the format to tiny Roman numerals. Yay! I can also highlight. On PC would be a right click, on Mac it would be a 2-finger click. Bring up the context menu, format page numbers, the exact same thing. Now, good zoom text. Turn that off. Actually, turn the navigation pane back on. Okay, so technically done with page numbers. Really straightforward. I mean, there's some clicks there. There's using the section break, the most important thing to know. Second thing is to make sure you're unlinking the sections from each other. Let's go back home. Actually, close out the header and footer. Let's talk about how to change the font on the headings, because if I were to go to statutes involved and make this a heading 1, because I want to make my automatic table of contents, blue 16-point Calibri, very pretty, not what we need for our brief. We want centered, bold, all caps underlined, not bold, all caps underlined, centered. Okay, so let's just do a Control-Z, undo that. I am going to highlight this. I am going to center it, going to underline it. And now, let's see. I'm going to wait on the alt text thing. Right now, I've got it, what I'm thinking my heading, I want it to kind of look like. So I'm going to go up here to heading 1. I'm not going to click it. I'm going to PC right click, Mac 2-finger click. I'm going to modify by this very first thing, update heading to match selection. I've selected the thing I wanted to match. I match it. So now I can go to my second heading, also heading 1. See, summary of argument. What was the font or the for the subpoints? Was it
The major point headings are bold. That will be your heading. The next level down.
yeah, let's go with that. Let's go arguments are bold. And then subpoints are underlined. Okay. So let's go ahead and make argument 1, update heading 2 to match that. And for giggles, highlight argument that, and then update heading 3. So now I have 3 tiers. Argument 2, also heading 3, conclusion, heading 1. Great. Now, I've gotten some headings assigned. So when I make my automatic table of contents, it's going to pull all of those things in. That's great. But it's not all caps yet. There is a way to go in and just modify the styles manually. I'm going to do a right click, 2-finger click, modify it. Oh, this is a little scary. Don't worry. Because mostly on here, there's nothing going on. Let's see. If I'm looking at this modify window, there is this thing in the very bottom left, format. It's got a little drop down symbol next to it. Going to check that out. I see font, paragraph, tabs, border. The only 2 things on this menu that you need to worry about are font and paragraph. And realistically, if you're getting this far, you are really deep down a rabbit hole. Let's check out font, because there's this little checkbox here for all caps. And I'm going to turn that on. And I'm getting a nice little kind of preview of what it's going to look like, and I'm happy about that. So it's going to be all cap. All my heading is now all caps. So I highlighted like 5 or 6 things with heading 1. When I click OK, all of those are going to be magically all caps. Yay! Very exciting. Okay. Let's go up here to title placeholder, throw in a carriage return, do a reference, add my table of contents, automatic table of contents 1, 2, manual, whatever. There we go. Now, if I wanted to modify anything in this table of contents, structurally, I would say it's kind of tough, because if I go over here and I just click on statutes and it actually totally works. Never mind. I was expecting, and this would happen sometimes, is when you make your table of contents, you click in here, sometimes it'll just work exactly like it's working right now, which is what you want. And sometimes when you click on this, it actually treats the table of contents and all of the content in it like they're hyperlinks. So you can actually click on statutes involved, and it will click on that, and it'll take you to where statutes involved is in your document. Kind of obnoxious for formatting, but if you have a really long outline or something, maybe creating an automatic table of contents and having it hyperlinked wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But anyway, I can go in here, I can highlight the entire thing and just, change it over to, is it Times New Roman or Georgia? Or is there an indication in the document? Can I go?
Roman,
Okay, I can't do Comic Sans?
you can.
I could totally. Should I do the entire thing in wingdings? No. Oh boy. But let's just do Times New. TNR, there we go. Easy to fix. Now, there is another automatic tool built into Word for doing your table of authorities. Going to leave that aside for now, because doing the table of authorities is really, really hard, because you need to save it for the very, very end of the document. When you are done writing, you are done formatting, now you're going to do the table of authorities. That's the best time to use the automatic tool, because the way Word uses it, it adds a bunch of hidden characters that you can see with your paragraph symbol, but it actually adds a significant amount of hidden characters, and it can do some really funny things to your formatting. So the recommendation from the library is that you do your table of authorities by hand manually. It is really not that bad. I can't imagine that there's more than maybe a half dozen sources you'll end up citing throughout the course of your entire, between statutes and cases. I don't know. But the audit, about 12?
Yes.
No more than that, then yeah, do it by, just go through the process of making your table of authorities by hand. way easier. When you have, a significant brief that you are submitting to, the Supreme Court of Georgia, okay, where you're have dozens upon dozens of different cases and statutes, by all means, it's a really good tool. Now, if you really just want to flex your dominance over Word as a program, like I am a human and computers aren't going to replace me, we will totally show you that if you come to us on Thursday, Friday, or Sunday from 1 to 5 from the library. But for the most part, it's a little too much work for the trouble. Yes.
Can we go back to the table of contents for a second?
Absolutely, table of contents.
So I'm following along. I have it set up with these sections.
Yep.
And when I click, I changed it to Times New Roman.
Yep.
But then when I click update table, it switched back to delivery or whatever.
Yep.
Did I miss how to change the default?
So I'm going to repeat the question for the purpose of the recording. But what happened, and this is actually really cool, because I can do the exact same thing, update table, update the entire table, because maybe I'm doing a little extra editing. I added some headings, maybe the page numbers have changed. I'm going to update the table, and it goes right back to where it was. Obnoxious? Yes. Is there a way to change it? Yes. Is that way more than you need to be worrying about in the process of writing your brief? I would posit yes as well. What we're doing, what we want to make sure is that there are tools to make this process really simple. Because really what you should be doing is focusing on writing the best brief that you can. Put that work in. Don't stress about these things until the end. And because you can safely leave it till the end, because there are just ways to make it all really simple and straightforward. So it should be the last thing you're worrying about. So, yes, Professor Mangan.
Can we talk about the end and how that's a qualitative description? If we were going to put a number on the end when we start doing this, that say 9 p.m. Sunday before it's due is not a great time, and rather like 9 a.m. to Sunday before it's due would be a better time.
Yeah. So yes, if you're going to put off the formatting to the end is not 11 p.m. Sunday night. A good end for that would be 10 a.m. Sunday morning, because there is the off chance that you're going in, you're writing really hard, and you really don't care what's going on in the documents. And that's fine, because like I said, focus on writing the best brief you can. But sometimes in that process, a lot of crazy stuff ends up finding its way into your documents. And so, weird formatting, spaces, you don't know why are these things always being indented? Why is this list starting at number 3 instead of at number 1? Sometimes you just need to take the entire document. I'm sure we've all done this before. Weird formatting shows up in Word. You take the entire document, you copy everything, you dump it into a text, like a notepad thing, just a straight text editor. Then you dump it back into Word to kind of remove all the crazy formatting. That's a thing that may end up happening. And you want to give yourself a lot of time to work through that process, because even if it is kind of short, it freaks you out, right? Just having to go like, oh. So give yourself more time than you would expect to get your head around, to wrap your head around the formatting. That said, we can totally help you out with a lot of the formatting. So any other questions about table of contents, page numbers, sections? Professor Simmons.
You say a word about backing up.
I should say something about backing up. How many people have a backup of their brief right now? They've got their working document and they've got one kind of off to the side. Okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. So I'm sure most people have Microsoft Word installed on their computer. So I'm not going to put anyone on blast with this question, but if you're trying to do a significant amount of work on this document on something like Pages or Google Drive, realize that the tools that we're talking about may exist, but they are very different. And Professor Simmons and I haven't gotten really smart about how to use those tools. So if you're coming to us and you bring us, Pages or a Google Doc, and we're like, can you open up Word, please? That being said, if you haven't done it yet, by all means, UGA mail, yeah. Let's just go to UGA mail. This is something we can all do. I'm sure we are all intimately familiar with this process. Oh no, you're gonna see my totally normal UGA email address. All right, let's hope. I have actually typed in my password plain text in front of people before. And I've kind of like, oh, I can't believe you saw my secret login name. I was doing this in front of a bunch of attorneys. I don't think they knew what was going on. Fortunately enough, I do not make that mistake in front of students. So no, we're going to work on that. How many people have logged into here and then clicked these little dots over here? Oh, yes, okay, awesome. So over here, these dots, open up the Word thing, make a blank document, go into your brief, hit Control A, hit Control C, go into here, hit Control V. Now you've got a really nice backup on UGA's institutional server somewhere. Not a bad place to be. Backups, timing for when to work on the formatting. Any other questions about Word, about the process? Saw a hand up over here. Yes.
Can you go over the page number again?
You got it. We're going to talk about page numbers again. I'm just going to hit Control. I'm actually just going to close this out, not save. Go over here. I downloaded that document. All right. I'm going to add some extra pages because seeing only page 1, page 2, page 3 is kind of boring. Also, I want to show you this really cool thing that is almost completely useless 90% of the time, but I love showing people because it's cool. So I'm going to go down here, going to type in =, RAND, open paren, the number of paragraphs I want to add, 10, comma, the number of sentences I want in each of those paragraphs, 5, end paren, hit enter, boom, 10 paragraphs with 5 sentences each. Really neat for making dummy text. I like doing this when I'm writing a big long document because I can just, I know I'm going to have these sections, going to make the sections, going to add some dummy text so everything kind of looks right, and then just replace the dummy text. Anyway, completely separate from the topic of page numbers. So, first things first. I think this is actually relatively important for the process of writing the brief, is to have more written than nothing at all. Have your introduction, have some statement of the facts, have some discussion of the standard of review, have some kind of content ready to rock because you kind of need a canvas to work with. Go to the very first part of your document, not the title and not the table of contents, but the first substantive section. Put your mouse cursor at the very beginning, go to layout, do the section next page break. I want that, let's see. That's easy for me. I'm going to go to where the body of my good stuff is. Going to double click in the footer. Just go into the footer that I didn't realize that the side was called the gutter. That's really interesting to me. For some reason, I was expecting them to be called arms. You got the head, you got the feet. Can't call them hands or something. Anyway, double click into the footer. And I'm going to add, let's see, can I just do a, no, okay, so you can't do a 2-finger click or a right click. You actually have to go up to page number, bottom of page, center justified. I don't think, yes.
So whenever I do that, it mine says first page footer section 2. Does that make a difference?
first page
Like it
footers.
says footer section 2, but mine says first page footer.
Oh, so this is interesting. I'm going to close this out. Actually, I'll get there because I think I might know what's happening. So I have my section, footer section 2, and I can see that it's already, oh, because it's linked there. I'm going to unlink from previous. Now, this is actually interesting because I left them linked where I unlinked them before. And having them linked, I can see that section 1 has automatically added page number. Great, but it's a Arabic numeral, not great. I don't want those tiny Roman numerals. If I were to, so what I need to do is go to header section 2, unlink from previous, and do the same thing for footer section 2, unlink from previous. So now I can go up here to /right click, format page number, change the format to tiny Roman numerals. Never going to say that right the first time. Now, if you are seeing, yes.
My, I don't know how to fix this. My second page starts with number 2.
Second page starts at number 2. That is really obnoxious. And there is a really interesting way to do that, to fix that. So highlight the number 2 where it shows up. Can't tell if you're on a PC or Mac. So do whatever you need to do to bring up the context menu. We're going to format page number. You can tell it where to start at. I can continue from the previous section, or I can tell you, no, start at 1, start at 0, start at, I can't go. I was gonna try to start at -1 because that would have been weird. No, you can actually start at 0, you can start at 1, you can just tell it where you want the document to start.
Yes.
Is our title page, does that have a number or is it?
It does not have the number, so this is super interesting. So this is going to be really weird for the purposes of the recording, but I love talking about this. So we have our placeholder for where the title page would be, but that's not supposed to have a tiny Roman numeral, right? Right. So I'm going to go back up here, going to, actually, yes, let's hit a carriage return, table of contents, placeholder. All right, go to the beginning of the T on table of contents, head over to layout, do a normal page break, not a section break, because we're gonna all keep this in the same section. Add that there. So tiny Roman numeral 1, tiny Roman numeral 2. What I want to do is go to, I believe it's design, no, insert, oh, let's see. I think it's under layout, page setup. There we go. So you've got 2 sections. Section 1, tiny Roman numerals, section 2, normal Arabic. The very first page of section 1 should not have a tiny Roman numeral. There are 2 ways to do this. Make a 3rd section, so section 1, nothing, section 2, tiny Roman numerals, section 3, normal Arabic numerals. Or you come over here to layout, page setup. And I don't know how many people have ever noticed or even cared about this little icon that exists in like the bottom right corner of almost every single thing up there. But that's where Word hides all of the extra stuff that it can't fit on screen. Like Professor Simmons said, designed by an engineer, not by a writer or a publisher. Like that. I can mess with the margins, I can mess with the paper, or I can go to this layout tab. I can have a different first page. And hit that. So now my title placeholder, where my title page is going to be, no Roman numeral no page number whatsoever. Where my table of contents will go has tiny Roman numeral 2. So go in here, format page number, going to start it at 0. So technically this is page 0, and then this, oh, wait, okay. I swear this works. Can I just put in 0? Between 1 and 332, I wonder where it comes up with that. So what I was expecting,
I'm thinking Roman numerals, you think that's why?
I think it is. I think it is because it's tiny Roman numerals. So not as easy as I played with this before, but I think it was because it was tiny Roman numerals. So what I end up doing is going up here, closing out this header and footer. Section break, next page, good. I would remove this page break. Layout, actually do the next section break and just slice this document into 3 documents. 1 section with no page number, 1 section with page numbers in Roman numerals, and a 3rd section with page numbers in Arabic numerals. Like I said, focus on writing your brief because the formatting gets a little funky. Like, it's really easy if you know how to navigate the tools, but it's challenging to get used to the tools while you're also kind of keeping the standard of review and making your best arguments.